welcome again to Delgado RANTS, the show to get you up and ready, up and at 'em, and get you aware of the world that you're living in, the words that we're using, how we think, how we talk, how we learn, how we observe. And if you don't know who I am, Joe Delgado, I'm sorry that you don't know who I am, but let's become friends. Indestructible me. Like, follow us there. We're going to change the world by changing the minds. We're going to make you aware. We're going to clean out your bullshit that you have in your life so you can live life on your own terms, be successful, be happy, fulfilled, joy, accomplish dreams and goals, all of that stuff. Talk about words. Today's word is empathy. Do you have empathy? What's your thoughts on empathy? Do you think it's weak? Do you know how to empathize with someone? Or are you not doing it enough? Google search word empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. So what does that mean to you? Do you empathize with people? Do you think it's weak to be empathetic, to empathize, to understand or try to understand, the ability to understand and share the feelings? So how does it affect you to empathize with someone? A book always comes to mind, and it's always, again, I always talk about books. Go and read these books. Go and read books. The best thing I can ever say about a book is called Science of Likability. It's a great book. And essentially in the beginning of the book, the author talks about the fact that we all have different roadmaps. So we all see the world in a completely different way, right? Perspective. And what really was weird about it was like, no matter what, if someone were to tell you, hey, I need you to travel to this destination, and they go to another person and say the same thing, both of you and that other person are going to have completely different ways on navigating to that destination. It could be literally the same road, but you're going to have a different process on how to do that trip. Like, how are you going to pack? How are you going to get ready? What are you going to do during the trip? Perspective. And that's being done 7.7 billion times in this entire world. If we just went out globally and like, hey, boom, this one thing, we are all going to be interpreting that thing completely different. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because you need to have that ability, that understanding, to be able to empathize with someone. And it's not the thing that you are doing you're not agreeing with how someone's reacting and handling or whatnot. You are just understanding their perspective. So you need to have an open mind and have the ability to know that everyone sees things from a different point of view. For an example, I might get a lot of hate for this, but I had an employee one time, they had a cat, and the cat needed a $2,000 operation. And I just couldn't empathize. I was like, that's a cat. $2,000. I have an animal now myself, so now I definitely can understand that. But this is, I think, the heart and center of arguing. No matter what, empathizing is not agreeing. It doesn't need to be agreeing. It's just the ability to understand someone else's perspective, a loss, how they're going, whatever they're going through, the stress that they're trying to handle, because ultimately we all handle things completely different. It doesn't matter. And we all have our own scales. Right? So, like, me dealing with death is going to be completely different than you dealing with death. Especially because I haven't been used to it, unfortunately. It's not meant to be a joke. It's just I've dealt with a lot of death in my life. So me, I know that death is a part of life. But I can understand when someone is going through loss, hardship. I can understand that because I've experienced it and I just don't know what that goes through. But you need to deep dive, I think, even further. Try to figure out their person's perspective. And that is the actual ability to empathize. And this will enrich the conversation or allow you to have a conversation. And maybe you're in sales. You need to empathize with that customer. Were they mistreated by a salesperson before? What was their last experience being in a sales environment? What was their last experience in buying something, buying this product before, doing this project, and that's why they're coming to see you. You're trying to have a conversation with a spouse, a significant other. You empathizing with them first, or trying to find out from their perspective and understand that. Because again, no one cares about yours. You care about yours, but you trying to explain your perspective and your point of view in a conversation, like, it's just going to cause conflict because the other person's going to want to do the same thing. Instead, know where you stand, be confident, and understand that you might not be right. You might not have all the answers. So be curious. You deal with death in a certain way, and someone's handling it completely different than you. Be curious about it. Hey, like, what's going on? What can I help you with? What's giving you the hardest pill to swallow in the situation? That rate alone is empathizing. You are trying to understand a perspective. That's what it should be. The ability to understand someone's perspectives. Doesn't have to be feelings. It's just thoughts, concerns. You're taking on a work project, and someone is not happy about a part of what they're involved with, what they have control over. Your empathy is going to be like, well, tell me more. Why do you have these thoughts? What's going on in your mind? What is your perspective? We all need it. I don't think it has anything to do with weak. But I know that there's people that believe empathy is being weak, and excuse me, and the thought of empathizing with someone is being weak and not being strong-willed and strong-minded. I don't know why there's a conflict or there's a comparison between being strong and being empathetic. It's not. I don't think it has anything to do with it. It's being able to understand that we are all living this world, a life, completely different. And we see things completely different. And then trying to be curious based on that perception. Trying to figure out other people's perspectives. And it's going to enrich the conversation. How do you empathize? Maybe I have a different viewpoint of empathy. Because I think it's more on perspective. You're finding out those feelings anyways. Because that's what draws and invokes our perspective is feelings, right? We're emotionally driven. We're just emotional beings. That's what ideally what it is. Like that's innate in us, and we have the ability to block that, control that, and some of us don't. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. I'm gonna help you have the control. But I mean, again, this could be anything. It could be death. It could be stress. You're empathizing with them handling stress. What's going on? What's going on in your mind? Have you dealt with this before? Do you know where to start on handling this project, this task? Right? Because you're gonna get them to talk, and share, and then that's gonna break down the barrier of being humankind. And that's going to open a two-way door conversation. So this will allow you to actually talk about your opinion, your perspective. You don't want to do it in the beginning. You want to be able to acknowledge whatever they're going through. If you skip the step of acknowledging whatever their perspective is, whatever they're going through, if you immediately try to just go right into what your thoughts are, what your opinion is, it's going to be an argument, because again, they don't care about that. They care about what they're going through, what's in their mind. So you got to have some feeling behind it. And how you do that is you slow down. Hey, tell me what you're thinking. What are your thoughts? Have you dealt with this before? Do you have a plan to do this? Right? You're asking them to uncover all those feelings. And once you get enough feelings, enough basis of understanding on their perspective, that's when you're able to actually bring up your experiences. I've actually done this before. I've done this project before. I've taken on all this workload. Dealt with death before. It's difficult. It's hard. What's helped me in the past is this. And then you just continue going back to acknowledging what have you done in the past to help you, the coping mechanisms. Well, how can we improve the situation? Empathy is needed at all areas of our life. It's not being weak. It's understanding that we're all different. We're all different creatures. We look at things differently. We have different perspectives. So you want to be curious on that perspective. And then by a byproduct, you're empathizing with them. Because no matter what, you're going to draw out all their thoughts and feelings about whatever they're going through. And then you'll be able to have a two-way conversation. You'll break down the barriers, so they're going to be curious on your. We're naturally curious, and if you start bringing up your experiences, your thoughts, and they're restricting, then back down. Go back into curious mode. Okay, how did you? What's your thoughts behind what I just said? How can we transition to something else? What can we do? So we gotta empathize. Not being weak. It's not being small-minded. It's being very open. You gotta be open. You gotta think big. And if you become curious first, conversation happens, and then it's a two-way street. Sharing ideas, and it's more productive. Try that. Let me know what your thoughts are on empathy, your experiences on empathy and empathizing with people. Please let me know. Indestructible me. Let's make you indestructible. Changing the mind, we're changing the world, baby. 2022, we're quitting out all that bullshit. We're empathizing, not being entitled, selfish people. being strong. Thank you for tuning in, and always be great.